What's going on, guys? It's Justin here, and we're back in the studio with our freshly detailed and rust protected pickup truck. Over the course of this entire build series, we're going to be showing you some smart, affordable ways to breathe new life into an older workhorse like this in an effort to keep it on the road for thousands of miles to come. And we're making some smart upgrades along the way to give this truck a tad more versatility during the work week. Our test subject here in this series is a 2018 Ram 2500 equipped with a 6.7 Cummins. We've already addressed some transmission, brake, and towing upgrades, so now we're turning our attention to the suspension. In a previous episode, you saw us install some parts of the air suspension system already, and today we're going to finish up that job by bolting on a set of spacers for our airbag kit. This air spring kit will work in conjunction with the new AEV conversion DualSport suspension lift kit, which we'll install here as well. The AEV kit provides about 3 inches of lift and gives our Ram a nice boost in capability both on and off-road. And to keep that load stable, we're also going to be installing a new heavy-duty HELLWIG sway bar. Since the old one must be removed to install the new lift kit, we're going to start there. And to give you a bit of a preview, check out the differences in diameter between the stock bar here and the HELLWIG sway bar. Both the air suspension and lift kit can be installed in the driveway in just a day or two using just some basic hand tools. Follow along and we'll show you what we mean. We're going to head to the back of the truck first and get this sway bar installed. So we're under our truck now and we got our sway bar ready to install. So we're going to grab our bar. We already got our bushings on here, and we're going to grab a couple bolts and get these started. I will say, if you had a friend, it would probably make this job a little bit easier, but we're going to manage. So we went ahead and got our sway bar all snugged up, and we'll come back and torque this once we get everything else installed. Now we can go ahead and install our sway bar end links. Now we took our end links and I measured our stock ones and went and adjusted these ones to the same length so we have a good base to start on. And we're going to start at our sway bar at the farthermost hole, and that's a recommendation from HELLWIG. Now once you get it all installed and you drive your truck with your sway bar a little bit, you can see the new handling characteristics and adjust it farther in. Out here is the softest setting, and the farther you go in, the harder the sway bar gets and the more it'll work. So let's go ahead and get our sway bar links installed and get this thing on. Now that we got all this stuff installed and it's all installed loosely, we're going to go ahead, look at our sway bar, make sure it's centered over our diff cover. And with that done, we're going to go ahead and put our little locking collars on our sway bar here to keep this thing from moving back and forth. Now with everything installed, let's go ahead and torque this stuff. And we're going to torque these to 40 foot-pounds, our holding bolts to 20 pounds, and these to 25. And just like that, our sway bar install is complete. So grab your scuba gear and let's dive a little deeper into the rest of our suspension. Today we're putting on a lift wheel and tires. Now when you lift one of these trucks, you have some issues in the front trying to fit a larger wheel and tire, like a 37-inch tire for example, because this thing has radius arm suspension on the front. So the higher you go, it moves the axle back towards the back of the fender well and the tire will be more likely to rub. So to combat this issue, we're using an AEV DualSport 3-inch lift. Not only does it lift this truck 3 inches, but it corrects the front geometry as well, moving the front axle forward an inch. That way we'll be able to clear our 37s with no problems. So we're gonna start on the rear first, and I've already gone ahead and got this thing on jack stands and the wheels yanked off it. Now let's get into it. Now, if you guys remember in an earlier video, we went ahead and installed a set of airbags on the back of our truck here. Now, with our lift, we need an airbag spacer. So ReadyLift has options for that, and they sell spacers for all their airbag kits. We're using a 2-inch spacer on ours, and this will be perfect for the amount of lift we're using. It's really easy to install, and installs basically the same way that this plate bolts to your airbag when you put these on a truck with a stock ride height. So we're gonna go ahead and get this thing back into place, and I'm just gonna bolt it up on the top for right now because I need to take the coil springs and some other stuff off out for our lift. So let's get these in place. So as you guys can see here, we've already got the rear axle dropped down, we've disconnected the track bar so we can get some more movement out of it, and I'm installing the upper spring spacers now. Now, these things are really easy to install. It has a little piece that you can fish up inside the spring bucket that's gonna retain that puck. Then you're simply gonna reuse your factory coil springs and rubber spacers and jack this axle up into place. Once we get the axle back into place, then we're gonna be able to hook up our track bar, and as you guys can see, we've added an aftermarket track bar bracket. That's gonna relocate our track bar to put it in the proper position. So we're getting everything lined up back here by the track bar because this, not only do you have to drill a bolt hole for the track bar, but it uses some of the factory bolting locations as well. So we got those all hooked up and out of the way, and now we can move on to the drive shaft. Now, this Dodge, being a long bed quad cab, has a carrier bearing in the middle of the drive shaft. So as you guys can see there, AEV provides a drive shaft spacer kit. We used them all that came in our kit, got those bolted into place, and you're gonna wanna make sure that those bolts are good and tight too. With our rear end almost finished up, we can go ahead and throw the shocks on and get this all taken care of. Now we're ready to move on to the front. So you probably noticed that we have this whole passenger side ripped apart, and we ripped that brand new brake setup that we put on off. And the reason we did that is because we have to change the passenger side knuckle. And the reason we're changing it is because for the hookup for the steering, it's actually drilled on the opposite side, so it's gonna give us some better steering geometry and get it out of the way. So after that new knuckle's installed, we can go ahead and throw our wheel bearing and all that stuff back in and get ready to put this lift on the truck. Now, the AEV lift moves some stuff around, so we're gonna be bolting on some brackets on top of our spring buckets that are gonna reclock our springs. And to do that, you're gonna need to do a little trimming. So check the instructions from AEV and they'll show you exactly what you need to cut off. Now we're on to our radius arm brackets. And the radius arm brackets are really cool because not only do they just bolt on the frame and drop the control arms down, but they also move these things 3 inches forward. And the reason we're doing that is to correct some of the suspension and steering geometry to help this thing drive like it's still a brand new stock truck. Now you can see we also added a giant bracket to the front of the front axle, and what that's going to do, that's going to be our new track bar bracket, and it's also going to mount our steering dampener again as well. So that's pretty easy to put on, but you're going to want to follow the AEV instructions really closely because this stuff needs to go on in a specific order or you're going to end up wasting a lot of time taking things back off. Now, we also have spacers for our front sway bar, so we're just gonna get those installed and drop it down and get our sway bar links all connected back up. So with everything on the front almost installed, we can go ahead and throw our shocks on the front and then go through and check and torque every bolt that we've loosened or replaced or added. With the front end all buttoned up, now it's time to put on those new wheels and tires and see how this thing looks sitting on the ground. We went with some Icon Vehicle Dynamics wheels and Nitto tires. Man, now we're getting this thing lower down on the ground and I can't wait to see what it looks like. So here it is, guys, in all its glory with our AEV lift installed and our new wheels and tires. And man, did it really change how this truck looks. This thing looks absolutely tough. Now, I will say when installing a lift, if you're kind of still new to doing some mechanical stuff, I would get someone with a little more experience to help you get through this project. Because there's a lot with this AEV lift and there's a lot of individual pieces, and it's kind of hard to move around a big front axle like this by yourself. Now that it's all done, we have one last thing to do, and it's time to go to the alignment shop. It's important when you work on any vehicle's front end that you go get the thing realigned. So we're gonna take it over to our friends at Rittman Automotive over in Rittman, Ohio to get the alignment squared away on this thing. So we're back from our alignment and this thing drives absolutely fantastic. You can't even tell that you're driving a big lifted truck with 37-inch tires because this thing rides like a cloud. We'd like to shout out and thank again our friends over at Rittman Automotive for getting us in for a quick alignment and getting this thing all squared up. And the guys over at AEV for this fantastic lift because it totally changed how the truck drives and we're in love with it. So make sure to like and subscribe to the Summit Racing YouTube channel so you don't miss out on any of the fun content like this, or our tool reviews, celebrity interviews, and so much more. So make sure to like, subscribe, and punch that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the action. I'm Justin with Summit Racing, and until next time, I'll see you later.